the reality that we face when we die is beyond anything that humans imagine. It's beyond our typical understanding of self and other, or non-duality, or God, or heavens, or hells, or anything you want to mention, anything you want to imagine. We enter a state of bright, brilliant light, whether we know it or not, that is truly non-dual, or we become oneness.
My guest today is Robert Aho, who had two near death experiences during heart procedures, the first one in 2016 and the second in 2021. Welcome, Robert. I'm so pleased to have you as my guest today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
You have a very interesting story and a way that you describe oneness so that you can kind of get the point across to help people understand better. So I'm really interested in hearing about that. But why don't you go ahead and tell us what happened from the beginning, wherever you need to start?
Okay. Um, so I should I should maybe preface this with just the my background. I'm very serious with meditation, very seriously delving into religions and spiritual practices, very serious about my entire spiritual path. And so I was at the point in my spiritual practice where I had realized that belief is completely useless. The reality that we face when we die is beyond anything that humans imagine. It's beyond our typical understanding of self and other, or non-duality, or God, or heavens, or hells, or anything you want to mention, anything you want to imagine. We enter a state of bright, brilliant light, whether we know it or not, that is truly non-dual, or we become oneness. And we realize when we become this oneness, something so amazing that it cannot even be described. It's beyond our ordinary capacity of human intellect, of human conceptualizing. We think we need to conceptualize everything for some very strange reason, but to truly understand this bright, brilliant condition, and I won't even give it a name. Sometimes people will say this is source, or God, or Dharmakaya, something like that. Uh, if you name it, you conceptualize, and so you don't understand it. It's not something you can understand. It's This condition is beyond ordinary understanding. So I had been very serious as a Buddhist practitioner. And previously, I had been a very serious Christian, and I'd been a very serious agnostic, and I'd been a very serious shaman, and a very serious seeker of all sorts of different paths. Uh, when I became a Buddhist, I was at a point in my life where I was ready to let go. I was frustrated. I had come to a point where I realized that my beliefs were not serving me in any way. So, what really profoundly impacted me about Buddhism was that it is a path of discovery, and a path of letting go, and a path of awakening, but it's not about belief. It's about knowing. So you can be anything at all and be a Buddhist. You can be a Christian and a Buddhist. You can be a very strong agnostic and a Buddhist. You can be a shaman and a Buddhist. whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter, because this is sort of the ultimate faith. You are saying, I'm going to discover reality. I'm going to discover reality as it is. That's a very serious thing to decide. And one thing that I would say about that is you can't really enter the spiritual path unless you have this great yearning, this great desire to awaken. What is awakening? It's awakening to what is. How do you do that? You let go and you open your heart and mind and you accept whatever may come your way. So you're not trying to, pound something in a hole and say it's got to fit, square peg, round hole. You're not doing that. That's what you do when you believe something. You're always defending it. You're always looking for a way to make it work. You're always judging everything. You're thinking, you're intellectualizing, you're saying it's got to fit, because we're very desperate about having this notion, this belief system that we've got. And by the way, our belief systems always change. We think that, we're born into a family and we're given a religion and then we stick to it. And religions evolve, religions change over time. They're not the same as when they begin, because this is all human thought. This is human conceptualizing. And so we do this without even knowing that we do that. So what we do here is we open our heart and mind to what is. And it sounds very frightening. A lot of people will get very nervous when you start saying that, because, what happens if my beliefs aren't confirmed? That's a scary notion. We have to be able to have the courage to let go and accept reality. We have to be able to open our heart and mind to what is. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a level of courage that a lot of people don't want to go there. That's too much. So, this whole thing of meditation, we're looking inwardly. We're looking at mind. Now, you can look at something like the kingdom of God is within you. That didn't even begin with the Abrahamic religions. That's an old Egyptian teaching, believe it or not. That's something that comes from, thousands of years before any of the Abrahamic religions. And it's also a Buddhist teaching, because everything you need is within you. So to really have the courage to go beyond, to become this light, you have to open this possibility. You have to walk through this door into something that is not governed by delusion. It's governed by what is, as it is. You're not trying to change anything. So I had, when I passed away in the hospital, I had been not only a Buddhist, but I had become a Dzogchen practitioner, which is that's considered in Tibetan Buddhism to be the highest level of attainment. As a Dzogchen practitioner, I wouldn't say it's the highest level of attainment. I would say it's the most basic. We just forgot. It's really who we all are. So I don't have any pride in that. I just, the realization of the nature of mind is a brilliant thing. When it happened to me, my teacher described it as an earthquake. This was very intense. You can't mistake it for anything. It's not in your imagination. It's the whole universe shakes. And your sense of reality comes and goes, and you realize how you've really been fooling yourself. since beginningless time, we encounter who we really are. So we don't have to invent something like what we all do. And it's since my near death experience, I find it very difficult to fabricate my own existence. But that's what we're habitualized into doing. We continually work on our image and how we present ourselves. Is my hair the right way? Am I dressed the right way? Do I have the right appearance for this person I'm supposed to be? That's a fabrication. Every idea we have about ourselves is fabricated. So when we realize the nature of mind, we find ourselves utterly, utterly exposed to absolutely everything. And we become aware of this intense light through this realization. And then as part of the practice, it becomes cultivated, that you become aware of our brilliant condition. And there are ways and methodologies to sort of become accustomed to that. So I had been at that stage, and I would say I should also preface this a little bit and say that Dzogchen is not limited to Buddhism. It's just that seems to be the vehicle that's carrying it at the moment. I could also say I'm not a Buddhist, because Dzogchen is not constrained by Buddhism. Dzogchen is realizing who we really are, the nature of mind. So there are ways to get to that point where we're able to do that. And that's freely available to everybody. You all have the ability to discover who you really are. You have complete access any given moment to this divine, brilliant, indescribable condition. And when I say bright, it's bright beyond anything we've ever witnessed on Earth. The sun is dull by comparison. Even if all the stars in the sky revolved around Earth, it would still be, and close to us, billions and trillions of stars. If they appeared within a short distance of Earth, it would still not be very bright by comparison. It would still be considered dull by comparison. Okay, so that's my background. I was prepared for death. When I was in the hospital, I was about to undergo this procedure, and they were about to put me under, and I waved and I laughed. And I said, well, maybe I'll see you in a little bit. And so the procedure began, and boom, I was instantly this bright light, this Dharmakaya, this intensity, this source beyond all intellect, beyond all thought, beyond all ideas. So think of the brightest thing that you can think of, and it's beyond that. It's beyond that. That's who we are. That's who we are. And we keep forgetting. When we're in this physical condition, this body as a human, or whatever we may be, we are forgetting who we really are. So I instantly became this brightness, this clarity, this awareness. There was no self. And I was okay with that. You say I was okay with that. How can I be okay with that? Well, the fabricated self completely became integrated with that light. And so in that condition, I was there in a timeless state beyond all possibilities, beyond all conceptual thought. I was in I wasn't in that state. I was that state. And that state includes everything and beyond what everything is. It was beyond the universe, beyond the multiverse, beyond heavens and hells, beyond anything that we can conceptualize, beyond God and gods, beyond, beyond religions, beyond thought, beyond concept. This bright, brilliant condition is not only eternal, it's also timeless, and it's fully aware of everything that has ever happened. Not only this universe, but the one before that, and before that, and before that, and the ones to come. It's timeless. So time in any direction is an illusion. And we become this state. And I was there for an eternity. That's irrational. I understand. It doesn't make sense because our conceptual mind demands some kind of definition, some type of limitation. My heart and mind were completely open. I completely accepted this condition. I was ready for death. Now, sometimes people, when I talk about this, will say that, oh, that sounds very boring. They don't want that to happen. Well, it includes everything. That's not boring. That's boredom is a human condition. It's a limitation. It's a demon, really. When we're bored, it's like that's this terrible obstacle. When I say the word demon, I'm saying obstacle. They're interchangeable. So we create any limitation about this notion of awakening, and that limitation is a demon. It's standing between us and the light. It's making our own condition darker. So we need to find ways to overcome these demons, to get past them, to become the light. So I remained in that bright, bright condition for an eternity. And then it's a little splash of color in this bright field, some little dark, dull zone. And I saw that. It wasn't me that saw it. It was this conscious stream, this transmigration, which was part of this bright light. And I could see that. And then slowly, very slowly, time started to appear. So this notion of slowly started to appear. And I started to remember that there was this dark, dull existence. And I started to remember, oh, I had been this person. It takes a long time to remember that you are a person once you're coming out of this light. And so I sort of went there, even though there's no here and there, it's all the same, it's all one. But I started to see that, and I had this intense feeling of compassion, great love, great compassion. And I started to fabricate self again. And I didn't want to, but as I saw this, I realized that, oh, my life isn't over, and I do need to return and help people a little bit here. I have a little bit to do before I pass away from this life for good. And so I began to return, and various mantras appeared to me. So I started chanting mantras, and some of them weren't mantras that I had learned in this lifetime. They were mantras from previous lifetimes. And they were all very important and essential in refabricating my life. And so I began this long journey, and I began to fabricate my old self somewhat. I didn't get it quite right because the intensity of this experience has uh, made it somewhat impossible to remember that old self. But I was able to approximate it, and my personality and my speech patterns and most of my memories of my life, things like that, I was able to return to that. Although I have been accused of having an extremely bad memory. And we could say maybe that's just age. I don't know. But it wasn't there before my heart procedure, where, by the way, my heart flatlined. Um, so I spent approximately 100 years just chanting, just with this intention, this great compassion to return, realizing that I needed to do this. And some people have commented that oh, that sounds really boring. How could you do something boring like that? Well, okay, so this dimension that appeared out of this bright light is this extremely turbulent, storm-ridden colors and shapes and winds that we don't have anything like that on Earth. These are, if a wind like this were to hit Earth directly, there'd be no Earth, because it's so intense. The intensity of this region, this energetic dimension, and it's all the fields of energy throughout all the cosmos, throughout all the multiverse, beyond all that. This is imperceptible to humans because it's just too much. I shouldn't say it. It's perceptible if you meditate enough, then you can start to see the energy, but and you can feel at ease in that condition. But the turbulence, this amazing swirling field of energy, I remained at ease in that as I reconstructed myself, as I fabricated this self again. I remained at ease. And now this condition, it's enough to terrify anybody. Just a simple glimpse of it can terrify someone. So when we prepare for death, we need to prepare for seeing things that would ordinarily terrify us. So I understood a lot of what I had learned about, what do people encounter when they die. And one of the concerns, a lot of Tibetan monks will talk about this, it's this energetic dimension, because we can imagine anything. We can, we think we're seeing, terrible monsters flying through the sky. We might think we're seeing worlds colliding. In reality, we're seeing all of that. We're seeing everything. All of human imagination is found in this turbulence. And all of the imagination of all sentient beings are found here. And this energetic dimension is beyond our ordinary perception. So it can be very terrifying when a person passes from death into this dimension. Sometimes they can go to a peaceful place. I saw heavens. There are heavens in that dimension. But that's not being fully awakened. Being fully awakened means going beyond that into that bright light. So what people will often see when they die is they'll see this turbulence, and then they'll just see a little flash of light, and then they'll proceed either back into their body or into another lifetime. Anything's possible when we die. As we pass through that death bardo, anything is possible, but we're not always in control of that. Sometimes people say they are in control. I would think the only way to be able to control any of it is just to have such great love and compassion that you're not really concerned about yourself. And so if you're not concerned about yourself, it gives you freedom. It liberates you from this tight, closed box that we put ourselves in. We make it tighter and tighter, and pretty soon there's no light shining on us at all. We suddenly have this very closed-minded existence, and that prevents us from awakening, prevents us from having a peaceful path through the death bardo. If we have cultivated this willingness, this wish to awaken, and this great compassion, this great love, people say, love and light. You hear that phrase in some groups, love and light, love and light. And some people kind of make fun of it. And, I think that's rather unfortunate, because love and light, that's what opens your heart. That's what opens, see, even at very low level of realization, if you start to cultivate love and light, then you start letting the light in. That light starts coming into your existence. That light starts filling you up with what is. You're no longer holding back from this whole notion of keeping a very tight, closed, protected existence, this ego. Your fists are always up, always like, don't anybody insult me, don't disagree with me, no, this is it. And so we've got 8 billion people doing that right now. And you think about that, it's not a pretty picture. It's a lot of battling going on everywhere you look. The reality is not something we can defend. It's not, if it's truly reality, it just is. There's nothing we need to do. That bright light is all pervasive. This dark condition is something we create. This idea of being separate, that we work so hard to defend, that's the definition of ignorance. That is something we do to prevent us from opening to what is. So after all this, I was doing these mantras, and off in the distance, I could see the operating room. I could see and hear. Mostly, I could hear. I could see this place, and I could see that it was on Earth, and Earth is in a very dull, dark place. One of the darkest places that I could see in my very expanded view. And I could feel all of the energy with people. I could see all of the things that people were going through. The people in the hospital that were, and there were quite a few people kind of buzzing around with machines and different tasks, and I could see that they were worried about me. I could see that, uh-oh, are we losing him? What's going on? And all of a sudden my hands started moving, because a lot of these are called mudras. You do the different types of gestures. I'm not an expert on how to do mudras. I have witnessed them, I've learned a few, and I'm really bad at it. But I started to move my hands. Okay. And I heard one of the nurses say, "What is he doing?" I think, and somebody might have said, "It looks like we're getting him back," and so this one nurse said, "Well, what is he doing?" And another nurse said, "I think he must be a Buddhist or something." And then I started chanting a little bit, real quietly. And this nurse said, "He must be a Buddhist or something." And right then I opened my eyes and said, "Oh, you could be right." And I started laughing. And the whole room started laughing. And there were people in the hall that heard this, that were watching and hoping I'd come back to life. And they started laughing. And my doctor, my cardiologist, was standing right there, and he was sweating. He's like the guy from the movie Airplane, with all the sweat coming down his face. He was so nervous. And he said, "No, Robert, we're never doing that again with you." I said, all right, I said, "I'm sorry, I missed the point." I said, "Can we do that again?" He said, "No, Robert, we're never doing that with you again." And everybody was just so relieved, and so they kind of I don't know, did whatever they were doing. And I turned to the nurse and I said, I think I died. Could I see the tracings? And she said, "Oh yeah, well, you flatlined for 5 minutes. You had us a little bit worried, but we hadn't declared you dead quite yet. But we're glad you kind of reassured me. We're glad you came back or something like that. I don't remember exactly the exact words she used anymore, but so anyhow, it was a very very powerful experience, and I came back, and this illusion of time was so amazing because I had experienced all of eternity in only 5 minutes, and even that time coming back was 100 years long if I was to compare it to anything in a human life. So that was, limited, but it was still much greater than 5 minutes. So here we had in this short amount of time, three comparisons of time. How does that happen? Well, we're one with the light. This illusion disappears. And so I think it's important not to fixate on any of those. Just simply acknowledge, be aware, and realize this is your true potentiality. And so I was very fortunate that way. The second, I should maybe mention my second near-death experience. My heart stopped for a little while, and I simply went into the energetic dimension and sort of observed my body and remained at ease in the energetic dimension. It kind of felt like I was sitting cross-legged, but of course I didn't have a body when I was in the energetic dimension. And so that one was, I was well prepared for that. And there's not nearly as much to say about it because it didn't, everything else had already happened. And I went into that condition with the awareness of who we really are. So that condition was no problem, none whatsoever. And I didn't flatline for nearly as long. So it was just for a little while. So,
Well, very profound. Both experiences, especially, the first one, like you said, there was so much going on there. I don't even know where to start. So you were talking about um, turbulence as you pass away and how turbulent it is, and there's just a lot of like wind and such. Um,
mhm.
I've not had a near death experience, but I've had many out of body experiences, and in those, it's very turbulent also for me, as in vibrations are very intense and they're very violent feeling, and it sounds like there's a train running through my head. It's very loud, almost like wind.
Yeah, that's that rushing of wind that they talk about in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And yes, I experienced that too. It's so much more intense than what any of the worst winds we experience on this planet. So the energy is incredible.
I never knew it was the wind until you just said that. So I find that's a whole new perspective for me in the out of body experiences, and
Mhm,
very interesting, something for me to think about.
mhm.
Um, so we go to a similar place then in a near death experience, since it's, or is it just the sensations that you get when your energy is leaving the physical body?
It's not really a physical sensation. We do all go to the same place. Um, One thing I should probably say is that whatever near-death experience that a person may have, uh, those that are more based in belief are more like in the energetic dimension. But if it goes beyond belief, then it's this Dharmakaya. Then that you're going into the light at the end of the tunnel. You're becoming the light at the end of the tunnel if you're able to do that, if you're able to go into that non-dual state. um i I think it's important to understand that when we have these near death experiences and there's you know people that we meet are gods, or we enter a heaven or things of that nature. It's important not to cling too much to those. Those are wonderful. They exist in our energetic dimension. We're drawn to places of this energetic dimension that are more in tune with our own energy, our own beliefs, our own ideas. And you know, if a person is really very sincere with let's say sincere with their religion, or just sincere about being a good person. I think being a good person is more important than having a religion. I think that's really going to help you more. Religions tend to be more like egos. We tend to defend them, and we tend to cling to them. To have the really good death experience, you need to let go. You need to just allow it to happen, and not try to editorialize everything that's going on, not put labels on everything. Just accept it, and allow this real condition to reveal itself once more. um, this is really important. So sometimes people will say with their near-death experiences that they just went into this dark void. Well, that dark void is really actually quite close to us. It's not actually very far from our body. I don't know why that is. I should maybe try to discover what that is, but I discovered that through meditation, that there is this field of just dark void. Uh, and it's when you discover that, it seems pretty incredible. But I think that more of the possibilities as they occur, you start going into this more energetic winds, and it's not winds as we know it, it's energy winds. It's like aurora borealis. It's more intense than that. It's far more intense than that. um, Far more intense than any storm on any star or any sun. So that's where we start to create these possibilities that we enter that are more in alignment with what we are. And so, let's say we believe in a heaven, and, we can enter that. Or, I think hell is one of those things that's a little more difficult to understand. A lot of people with NDEs say there's no hell, but I think if our anger consumes us, we can enter a state that's very much like hell. And so I don't think it's a punishment. I think it's your own energy sort of brings you there. And I think this is also why we need to, as human beings, cultivate as much love and compassion in our own lives as we possibly can. You don't need dogma for that. You don't need religion for that. You can just generate love and compassion, and that will naturally open yourself up to a very positive, bright, peaceful existence in the death bardo. And so even this turbulence becomes peaceful. So like I said, with my second near-death experience, I remained completely at ease, completely peaceful, even though there was just all of this swirling madness surrounding me, these terrible winds, this roar. I knew what that was. My consciousness has been able to become aware. It's entered a state of awareness where when that happens, I recognize that. And so it doesn't cause me any problem. That is something that everybody can do. This is not just me. Everybody has that possibility. That was part of my message. We all have this possibility of awakening. We all have this connection to this eternal awareness. It's who we are. Why are we stuck in this dark, dull place, living a life of perpetual suffering and delusion? Why are we doing that? We have a choice. We don't have to do that. That's not who we are. That's just perpetuating something very dark and unreal. We think this world around us is real, but if you really become the light, you come back and it's just all illusion, all of it. This is not real. This is something we fabricate. This is something that we perpetuate. This darkness, we perpetuate that through our own bad decisions. And we've been doing that forever. When people talk about eternal life, this is it. We're living eternal life. We've been reborn so many times that there's no way to count that. And we keep coming back to this dark place and generating darkness. So my hope, which is my root master's hope as well, is that we evolve, that we really become aware, that people start to awaken, that this state of awakening becomes something that we all know how to do that. We all know how to awaken. We all learn the root problems that have been plaguing us since beginningless time. And my root master, I should say, is Namkai Narbu, who passed away a few years ago. And he was a Dzogchen master, very famous. He was a professor at a university in Italy and known for his studies on ancient traditions, the Bon tradition, which a lot of people don't realize this, but that is based upon the teachings of a Buddha who lived 16,000 years ago. Buddha Shakyamuni, the one that people often consider the Buddha, was 2,600 years ago. So, so the thing that people don't realize, and they kind of reify Buddhas and think, oh boy, that's so wonderful, and it is wonderful. But what we forget is that we are all Buddhas. We all have this potentiality to awaken. We're just sleeping. We're just overcome by this dark, dull condition of our world and our universe. This condition of great suffering that is many people call samsara. We have the ability to become the light, which means if we're able to become fully enlightened, there are infinite possibilities. Each of us has infinite potentiality. We've just got to stop limiting ourselves. We've got to stop closing our hearts and mind. You let go and you open your heart and mind, trusting that you have this ability, you have this power, then nothing can possibly make you suffer ever again. We have that possibility. We have this potentiality. We just all need to recognize it again. This is a realization that's instantly accessible to everybody. You just need to be open enough to allow it to happen. It's that simple.
Being open, as in how? Like, how can we take that first step towards that deeper connection with who we truly are? I'm being open, I think, is a good description, but sometimes it's difficult to find the openness to create a space where we can open because we are so ingrained with beliefs.
Yep. And this is why we look within. This is why we meditate, because even though we might know the answer is to open our heart and mind, we need to prepare ourselves to be ready for that. Now, how long that takes, that's the answer to that is different with everybody. So you look at your heart and mind Everything you need is right there. But also seek teachers who meditate. See if you can visit with a great master, attend a retreat, even listening to someone online. There's numerous people talking online about meditation. My own podcast. I think this last one, no, one before this, 19. I think I just did a really basic meditation, just the, really simple, listen to breath. But I always start with bodhicitta, which is the key to everything. And the definition of bodhicitta is just what I've been talking about. It's this desire to awaken. It's cultivating great love and compassion. And it starts with the realization that we can't really help anybody, including ourselves, unless we awaken and unless we start practicing love and compassion. Now, the ironical thing about this is love and compassion is this great light. That's the same. So we're by even not understanding what that is, we can simply visualize love and compassion for others or for just for yourself. Actually, the first step is just having enough love and compassion for yourself to realize that you need to do this. You need to investigate your mind. You need to awaken. And so by doing that, you're increasing your capacity for love and compassion by realizing that it's up to you. Your actions in life are very important. And if you can learn to cultivate love and compassion for yourself, then you'll be able to take the next step and cultivate love and compassion for others. And if you can generate love and compassion for others, you can awaken. You can take the next step and simply opening your heart and mind. And that requires some preparation. I remember when I was ready to accept Dzogchen, I had moved very quickly through Buddhist practices and had been a Vajrayana practitioner. If you know what that is, it's a Tibetan practice, series of practices taught by Padmasambhava, is his name, or Guru Rinpoche. People also use that name interchangeably. And I hadn't proceeded with all the necessary steps, but I was ready for it. So I was maybe about halfway through the Vajrayana requirements. It's a word called Nondro, and I realized I was ready. And it's this weird synchronicity that happens in life, that everything sort of fell into place, and I was ready to receive an introduction to Dzogchen. Or Dzogchen is the nature of mind. You can say nature of mind and it means Dzogchen. Dzogchen is also the practice of the nature of mind. So in Buddhism, everything leading up to Buddhism is practice of mind. Dzogchen is practice of the nature of mind. And so that can only happen if you realize and recognize the nature of mind. So, if your practice, if your meditation has progressed to a level where you're not afraid, nothing can cause fear in your life, that you have this immeasurable love and compassion for everyone. I'm talking about a level that just about makes you want to cry when you see people. You could just go into any city or take a bus ride, and you have to struggle not to start crying because you see all the pain and suffering. I used to commute to work, and on the bus for a few years. And there were some times when I would just break down. I just the emotions of this great love and compassion. I'd see, there's people on the bus, every type. There's businessmen, there's alcoholics, there's just any, people with disabilities, any number of any level of suffering. And some people have mental illnesses on the bus that are very interesting. And I've had some very, very good encounters trying to help people who are struggling. Somebody, they don't have the right clothes on, and it's January in Duluth, Minnesota. It's like, 30 below zero, and they're not wearing gloves because they don't know what they did with them, things like that. And so you try to help them. This sort of cultivation of love and compassion in your life is it's really painful, but and sometimes people say, well, I have to have barriers. I can't do that. But if you're not ready for it, then you do need those barriers. But we cultivate this until there are no barriers. And with the cultivation of those barriers, our empathy increases immensely. We start to really understand what people are thinking, what they're going through. We can start seeing their lives honestly. I remember I was once in a meditation retreat, and I had been practicing like this for quite a long time. This was with a different teacher, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the retreat, this Tibetan teacher turned to me and said, "Stop looking at my mind." That's what I was doing. I was looking at his mind. And everybody in the room, there were maybe, I don't know, 50 people there, maybe. They're all looking at each other like, what happened there? But he was aware of that. So this teacher had enough love and compassion that he could see not only could he, was he aware that I was looking at his mind, but he could see the thoughts that were coming into my mind as I was observing his mind. And it was this weird feedback, and so this sort of thing does happen when people are practicing bodhicitta. But it's the key to awakening, and it's the only true power that we have. Believe it or not, this incredible generosity of love and compassion is the only power that we possess, and we're able to increase that. And it's the only riches that actually truly matter. Not all the rest of it is just temporary nonsense. If we can cultivate bodhicitta, then in lifetime after lifetime, passing through the death bardo, no problem. No problem. Now we've got some real power, and we can have this very good experience when we finally do die. But we also might call ourselves back in order to help people, because we feel this love and compassion for people, and we really, really, really want to help people.
Talking about, others, speaking about others, a lot of near-death experiencers, they experience on the other side or right before the tunnel or somewhere along the way, some loved ones that have deceased on the other side. How does that play into that one great light of oneness?
Yeah, well, I, I've thought about that, and I think the loved ones, these are, now if you think of ourselves as energy, okay, when we die, we're passing through the energetic dimension. Then we do see energy that is very similar to that energy that we experienced in life. And so that's, like I say, all possibilities occur right in that condition. If we pass through the death bardo completely and we're reborn, we might not see those people that we loved for for many lifetimes. It might not be in that lifetime, but maybe in 100 lifetimes, then we encounter them again. It's like just like you and I, we kind of recognize each other. So I think we have that kind of karmic connection. So either one of us could have been one or the other's parent. We could have been friends in a past life. Uh, it's hard to say, because that knowledge of who we were is that's connected with another lifetime, and now we're in a new lifetime, and we have big problems. And we're generating this person, this self that we think we are, and so we can't remember languages we used to speak. We can't remember exactly who it is we knew, but you can feel this connection. You have this karmic connection with people that we just know that we met somebody. Uh, we probably, if you recognize somebody, it might have been just a recent lifetime. It might have been 1 or 2 lifetimes ago, because I think I don't think, I know that time is so vast that we've met everybody. We've 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 had very close relationships with absolutely everybody because that's how vast time is. And even though it's an illusion and it's just sort of this tiny corner of existence, it's still that vast. So we have this karmic connection. And I've met a number of people that I recognized. Um, I did I did see my sister from my last lifetime. My last lifetime, I was obliterated by a bomb in during war when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I wasn't very old, maybe even younger than that. And I did see my sister is still alive from that lifetime, but I did not want to contact her or disturb her life in any way. But I'm pretty sure that was her, and she's a few years older than me. But there was some mention of this woman, and I did encounter some history of that, and I was like, that's my sister. I recognized her immediately. She's old. How did she get old? She was maybe, I don't know. I want to say she was maybe 10 or something. She wasn't too many years older than me, but I remembered that death very, very in detail. And I wrote about it in my book, The Frog, which is in the description that I sent you. And that journey through the death bardo from that lifetime, I was very disappointed in myself for not being in more control than I was when I died. And the last thought in that lifetime was, we need to get as far away from here as possible because there were soldiers coming up our valley. This was in the Himalayas. And lo and behold, I was reborn on the other side of the planet in an obscure place called the Great Lakes region, and northern United States. And now I live in the forest up north of Duluth. I'm not in Duluth, and I'm pretty much as far away as I can be from Tibet. So I don't hold anything against the Chinese people or that war. I think there was some real good things have happened because of that, and including my own current lifetime has been enhanced because I have encountered people from Tibet and learned about Buddhism. And I think this is all connected as part of being one. So I think some people from China are not happy that I wrote about that, but hey, stop bombing people, man.
Yeah.
I won't write bad things about you.
It's almost like everything happens for a reason,
Yeah, yeah,
So
it
if
does.
my viewers wanted to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Well, I'm self-published, but I'm publishing my books under the banner of my architecture company, which is Kirkhouse LLC, and they can write me or fill out a form on my website, which is kirkhouse.com, KIRKAUS.com. And my email there is raho@kirkhouse.com. Or if you subscribe to my newsletter, timelessluminosity.com, you can hear what I'm saying in my podcasts and writing about in my newsletter. And this started mainly as a series of letters or essays to people. And I'm almost up to 100 now, and that's just been weekly. If you subscribe to that, you can just respond to the email that you receive, and I get that in my inbox, and I will respond. So those are two easy ways to contact me. But I guess I'd prefer people subscribe to my newsletter, timelessluminosity.com, and it's all one word. And that's on Substack. And to this point, I've not charged for it. It's been a free newsletter. I am thinking that maybe I might add a subscription just for the more delicate, more secret types of teachings that I would like to share with people, which they can pay for that if they have that desire. But I would always leave some of it as free, because it was the whole purpose of starting this, was to have a free newsletter, a venue for what I need to say, all the things I am working on, and all of that, and trying to provide some kind of teachings for people to bring them benefit. And the newsletter and what I'm talking about, it's open to everyone. You don't need to receive any kind of permission from a great master or anything like that. I'm not part of any organization. This is my teaching. This is my what I think is correct after having been in that timeless luminosity for all eternity. I have something to say, and I don't want to be constrained by any organization or institution or religion or anything like that. I'm trying to communicate this in a raw, direct fashion. And I'm trying to put it in terms that people in the West especially can understand, because a lot of the time, a lot of the words and methodologies used in, like in Tibetan Buddhism, or, in other Eastern areas, it can be a little bit daunting for people. And so I'm trying to really utilize the English language to communicate what these things are. So we can find Buddhist terms, but like for instance, when I say bodhicitta, I give you the definition, and so then you understand that that's just you working with enlightenment mind. That's great love and compassion and the wish to awaken. So that's the key. That's the key to everything. And I knew that when I came back from my near-death experience, and I was a little bit stunned that I hadn't heard anybody say that was the key. I've been to lots and lots of Buddhist masters, and I hadn't heard that yet. And I've read lots of books too. So it's it's so simple. People don't need a long string of teachings and retreats to go through in order to get to that answer, that key. And I should say, the answer is not what you want. You want to go beyond the answer. That's that's real effective meditation. That is really what will help you traverse the death bardo, is if you aren't constrained by ideas and answers. the meaning of life, uh, we need to go beyond the meaning of life in order to understand the meaning of life. And then we can't even explain it. It's that amazing.
It sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Robert, for being my guest. This has been so amazing, enlightening, and mind-opening for me. I appreciate your time.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I wish you all the best success with your podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.